The alien queen's little girl was rescued by a human soldier, and he received a wonderful reward. The red sand of Karath 7 swirled around Sergeant Marcus Webb's boots as he walked through the desert. The twin suns hung low in the purple sky, painting everything in shades of orange and crimson. Marcus wiped the sweat from his forehead and checked his scanner again. Nothing, just rocks, sand, and more rocks. Control, this is Webb. Sector 7 is clear. Moving to Sector 8, he spoke into his comm device. Static crackled back at him. Copy that, Webb, finish your patrol and return to base. Storm's coming in 2 hours. He had been stationed on this frontier planet for 6 months now, watching the border between human territory and Jathiri space. The insect-like aliens kept to themselves mostly, and humans did the same. An uneasy peace, his commander called it. He climbed over a ridge of black rocks, and that's when he saw it. The ship was half buried in the sand, smoke rising from its broken hull. It was small, sleek, and definitely not human. The metal was a strange, purple-black color that seemed to shift in the light. Jathiri design. Marcus's heart began to beat faster. This could mean trouble, big trouble. His orders were clear: avoid contact, report immediately, wait for backup. But then he heard it. A sound that made him forget every order he had ever received. A child was crying. Marcus ran down the slope, sand sliding under his feet. He reached the crashed ship and found a hole torn in the side. Inside was dark, lit only by flickering emergency lights. "Hello," he called out. "Anyone alive in there?" Then started again, louder and more frightened. Marcus squeezed through the opening, his rifle ready but pointed down. He wasn't here to fight. The inside of the ship was a mess. Broken equipment sparked and hissed. Strange alien writing glowed on cracked screens. And there in the back he found them. A Jathiri warrior lay on the floor, his chitinous armor cracked and leaking blue blood. His compound eyes looked up at Marcus without fear, only pain. Beside him, pressed against the wall, was a small figure, a child. She was maybe 3 feet tall, her exoskeleton a soft lavender color instead of the hard black of adults. Patterns of light flickered weakly across her body like dying fireflies. 4 arms hugged herself, and her large eyes stared at Marcus with pure terror. The warrior made a clicking sound. His hand, despite its injury, moved slowly toward the child, then toward Marcus. The gesture was clear in any language: please protect her. "I understand," Marcus said softly, even though the alien couldn't understand his words. But tone was universal. "I'll help." She was alone now, scared and in danger. "Hey, it's okay," Marcus said, kneeling down slowly. He put his rifle aside and held up his empty hands. "I won't hurt you, I promise." Their species had almost gone to war twice. To her, he must look like a monster, soft-skinned, pink, with only 2 arms and 2 eyes. Marcus remembered he had something in his pack. He pulled out a protein bar and slowly unwrapped it. He broke off a piece and ate it, showing her it was food. Then he held out another piece. The child's bioluminescent patterns flickered brighter, showing curiosity. Slowly, very slowly, she reached out with one small hand and took the food. She sniffed it, then ate it quickly. "Good girl," Marcus said with a smile. "Now we need to go. This ship won't last much longer." "Come on, I've got you." "Control, this is Webb. I found a crashed Jathiri ship. One survivor, a child, requesting immediate extraction. Mark the location and return to base immediately. We'll send a recovery team." "Webb out. We're going home." But he kept walking, one step at a time, keeping the small alien child wrapped safely against his chest. She was so quiet, too quiet. Marcus worried she might be dying. During one brief break behind a rock formation, he checked on her. Her lights were very dim now. "Stay with me," he whispered, "just a little further." Marcus began to sing softly, an old Earth lullaby his mother had sung to him. The words didn't matter, but the melody was gentle and soothing. The child's lights brightened just a little. One small hand reached up and touched his face, tracing the strange, soft skin so different from her hard carapace. Finally, through the storm, Marcus saw the lights of the base. He staggered forward, barely able to stand. "Open the gate! Medical emergency!" he shouted. Soldiers rushed out. Someone took the child from his arms. Someone else caught him as his legs gave out. "Sir, do you know what you've done?" a lieutenant asked, shocked. "That's a Jathiri. We can't just—" High above, cutting through the storm clouds, massive ships decloaked. Jathiri warships, dozens of them, their hulls gleaming with bioorganic armor. They hung in the sky like ancient gods, weapons powered but not firing. watching, waiting. Marcus looked at the child in the medic's arms. Her eyes met his, and her patterns pulsed in what might have been gratitude, or maybe just recognition. The medical bay was in chaos. Doctors and nurses ran back and forth, shouting orders. Alarms blared. Red emergency lights flashed on every wall. Outside, soldiers took defensive positions, weapons pointed at the sky where the Jathiri warships waited like silent predators. Marcus sat on a chair, wrapped in a thermal blanket. His hands shook from exhaustion. A medic checked his vitals while he watched the alien child through the glass window of the quarantine room. She was on a medical bed, surrounded by confused doctors who had no idea how to treat a Jathiri. Sergeant Webb, Commander Harris burst into the room, his face red with anger and worry. "Do you have any idea what you've done? You should have left her and called for backup. Now we have an entire alien fleet over our heads, and we don't know if they're here to rescue her or destroy us all." "With all due respect, sir, I disagree. She's a child. She was scared and alone. I did what any decent person would do." Priority Alpha. The main screen flickered to life. A Jathiri appeared, but this one was different from any Marcus had seen in training videos. Her exoskeleton was decorated with intricate patterns that glowed blue and silver. She wore what looked like official robes made from some kind of bioorganic material. Her compound eyes were huge, multifaceted, and seemed to look at everything at once. When she spoke, a translator device converted her clicking and chirping sounds into human language. "I am Ambassador Krieth of the Jathiri Collective. We have detected our royal transport vessel on your planet. We know you have found survivors. We demand immediate information." "Ambassador, we have one survivor, a child. She is receiving medical care. We mean her no harm." The little alien child sat on the bed, her lights pulsing weakly as human doctors tried to scan her with equipment that clearly wasn't made for her biology. The ambassador's entire body went rigid. Her bioluminescent patterns flared bright white, then cycled through colors Marcus had never seen before. When she spoke again, her voice, even through the translator, carried shock. "That is Princess Ziara, daughter of Queen HFY, heir to the celestial throne, future sovereign of the Jathiri Collective." "Princess, your heir? You cannot comprehend the catastrophe that would have been." "Sergeant Marcus Webb, he found the crashed ship during routine patrol. The princess is safe because of this human. He will be judged according to our laws." "That's an order." An hour later, Marcus found himself in the quarantine room with Princess Ziara. The Jathiri medical team had arrived, tall, imposing figures in specialized suits who worked efficiently to care for their princess. But there was a problem. Every time the human doctors tried to leave, Ziara made a high-pitched distress call. Every time the Jathiri specialists tried to move her to their ship, she clung to the medical bed and refused to go. Her bioluminescent patterns pulsed frantic orange and red. "She is experiencing severe trauma response," one of the Jathiri doctors explained through a translator. "She has bonded with someone here who stayed with her. Bring him in. Softwing safe. To her, you seem vulnerable, yet you protected her. This is significant." She pressed her forehead against his chest, right over his heart, the universal gesture of trust. "The princess has chosen her guardian," the lead Jathiri doctor said quietly. "This complicates matters significantly." The Jathiri doctors allowed this, saying it was better than sedating her. Marcus learned a few things during this time. Through translation devices, he discovered that Ziara was 6 years old in human terms. She liked sweet things and made a pleased humming sound when he gave her fruit from the cafeteria. She was terrified of loud noises, but calmed down when he sang to her, even though she couldn't understand the words. Despite her species' reputation for being cold and calculating, Ziara was just a scared little girl who had watched her father die. Marcus's heart broke for her. On the second day, Ambassador Krieth returned to the base, but this time she wasn't alone. "All personnel stand at attention," the base computer announced. "Queen HFY of the Jathiri Collective is entering the facility." Queen HFY was massive, nearly 10 feet tall, her exoskeleton a deep midnight blue decorated with patterns that seemed to move like liquid silver. She wore a crown of bioluminescent crystals that pulsed with inner light. 4 arms, powerful and graceful. Eyes that held the weight of centuries of rule. She walked into the quarantine room and the air itself seemed to change. Power radiated from her like heat from a star. Ziara cried out, "Mother," and tried to run to her, but she was still too weak. The queen crossed the room in 3 long strides and gathered her daughter into her arms, making soft, clicking sounds of comfort. Her patterns glowed warm gold as she held her child. Then those ancient eyes turned to Marcus. "You are the human called Webb. You saved the heir to the celestial throne. You carried her through danger when you could have left her. You gave her comfort when she had nothing." The queen's patterns shifted to deep purple. "According to the ancient laws of my people, you will be judged for your actions. You will receive the gratitude." The room was packed with people, human officers, Jathiri officials, diplomats from both species, and soldiers lining the walls. Marcus stood in the center, wearing his dress uniform. He had showered and shaved, but he still felt exhausted. His legs were sore from carrying Ziara through the storm. His mind was even more tired from trying to understand what was happening. Queen Exhathari sat on a specially made platform at the front of the room. Even sitting, she towered over everyone. Her daughter, Princess Ziara, sat beside her in a smaller seat, looking much healthier now after proper medical care. The little princess clutched something in her hands, the stuffed earth bear Marcus had given her from his personal pack. It was worn and old, a gift from his own daughter years ago. Ambassador Krieth stood and spoke to the assembled crowd. "We are here to witness the judgment. Sergeant Marcus Webb of the human colonial forces saved Princess Ziara, heir to the celestial throne. According to our ancient laws, his actions must be measured and his reward determined. There's almost nothing in the records. It's only been given 3 times in Jathiri history and never to an outsider. For those who do not know our ways, I will tell you what this human has done. For 70 years we have tried to produce an heir, 70 years of failure, genetic consultations, medical interventions, prayer to the old gods, nothing worked." Her patterns flickered dark with old pain. "Then Ziara was born, perfect, healthy. The miracle we had prayed for. My beloved mate, Prince Tharkon, died protecting our daughter. The ship crashed on this world. Ziara was alone, injured, and surrounded by danger. He could have called for help and waited. He could have left her there, but he did not. He carried her through a storm that would have killed them both. He gave her food, comfort, and protection. He sang to her when she was afraid." He hadn't thought anyone knew about the singing. "This human saw my daughter, an alien, a member of a species his people do not trust, and he saw only a frightened child who needed help. He risked his career, his safety, and his life for a stranger. For a child not even of his own species. When someone saves a life, especially royal life, they are owed a debt that can never be truly repaid. But we try. We offer the gratitude, a reward so significant that it changes the recipient forever. I just did what anyone should do. Precious metals, rare minerals, anything you desire. Your voice will carry weight in our councils. Your family will be honored among the stars. And the most difficult, it has been perfected over thousands of years. If you accept, it will bond with your body at the cellular level. Your lifespan will extend to centuries instead of decades. You will gain a limited neural link to the hive mind. You will be able to sense Jathiri emotions and thoughts, though you will always control your own mind. Your body will become stronger, more resilient. Make me part Jathiri. Why offer this to me? My daughters. There is a price," the queen continued. "If you accept the gratitude, you cannot return to normal human society for at least 10 years. The enhancements need time to stabilize. You will live among the Jathiri, learning our ways, protecting Ziara, teaching her about humanity. You will be her guardian, her mentor, her bridge between 2 worlds." He would be isolated from his own species, living among aliens who most humans feared or distrusted. But then he thought about Ziara, about carrying her through the storm, about the way she had pressed her forehead against his chest in trust, about his own daughter back on Earth and how he would want someone to protect her if she were ever alone and scared. "What if I refuse?" he asked quietly. "Then you will receive the wealth and status and you will return to your life," the queen said. "There will be no shame. The gratitude is an offer, not a command, and it is a burden as much as an honor. I don't need time. I keep my promises." Jathiri officials made clicking sounds of approval, but Marcus only heard the queen's next words. "Then let it be done." Marcus Webb, from this day forward, you are guardian to the royal heir, prince equivalent of the Jathiri collective, and bonded member of the celestial hive. She placed one hand on his shoulder. Welcome to the family, Softwing Guardian. As the glowing liquid was injected into his veins, Marcus felt a strange warmth spread through his body. It didn't hurt, but it felt different, like something ancient and powerful was waking up inside him. Ziara took his other hand and squeezed it tight. Marcus smiled at her. Whatever came next, whatever changes happened to him, he knew he had made the right choice. Sometimes the most important decisions in life weren't made with the head. They were made with the heart. Marcus lay in a special medical chamber on the Jathiri flagship, the vessel so massive it had its own artificial gravity and climate systems. His body felt like it was on fire, then ice cold, then fire again. The nano-organic technology was rewriting his cells, one by one, making him into something more than human but not quite Jathiri. Doctors monitored him constantly. Both human and Jathiri medical staff worked together, fascinated by what was happening. No human had ever undergone this process before. They didn't know if it would work or if Marcus's body would reject the enhancement. But through it all, Ziara stayed nearby. She sat in a corner of the medical bay, working on her studies with her tutors, but always watching Marcus with worried eyes. Her bioluminescent pattern stayed muted blue-gray, the color of concern. On the fourth day, Marcus woke up feeling different. His vision was sharper. He could see individual dust particles floating in the air. His hearing picked up conversations 3 rooms away. When he sat up, his muscles responded with strength he had never felt before. He felt alive in a way he couldn't explain. "How do you feel, Doctor?" Veshra, the lead Jathiri physician, asked. Her patterns glowed curious green. "Strange," Marcus admitted, "but good, really good actually. You will discover new abilities gradually. But there is something you need to understand, Guardian Webb. It is limited, you are not fully Jathiri, but you will sense emotions from other Jathiri nearby. Their joy, their fear, their pain. It can be overwhelming at first." He turned and saw Ziara running toward him, her patterns blazing bright yellow. "Softwing awake, Softwing is better." It was like hearing a song without music, feeling sunshine without heat, beautiful and strange at the same time. "I'm okay, little one," he said, hugging her back. "I told you I'd be fine." Queen Exhathari assigned him quarters on the flagship, a suite larger than any apartment he'd ever had on Earth. The walls were made of bioorganic material that glowed softly, providing light without harsh bulbs. The furniture adjusted to his body shape. Everything was designed for comfort and efficiency, but the luxury felt empty. Marcus was alone in an alien world, surrounded by beings he barely understood. His days followed a strict schedule. Mornings were spent with language tutors, learning to understand Jathiri speech without relying on translators. The clicking and chirping sounds were difficult for human vocal cords to produce, but the neural enhancement helped him understand the meanings behind the sounds. Afternoons were dedicated to Ziara. He was her guardian, which meant teaching her, protecting her, and helping her grow. They studied together. He learned Jathiri history while she learned about Earth. They practiced combat techniques, played games, and talked about everything and nothing. Ziara was curious about everything human. "Why do humans only have 2 arms?" she asked one day. "How do you carry things?" "Besides, having 2 arms means we focus on one thing at a time. Maybe that's not such a bad thing." "Show off," Marcus teased, and she chirped with laughter. Evenings were the hardest. Marcus would return to his quarters and feel the full weight of his decision. He couldn't call his daughter on Earth. The communication delay was too long, and his new status made contact complicated. He couldn't joke with his old squad mates. He couldn't eat familiar food or hear familiar languages. He was becoming something new, and sometimes that terrified him. One night, Ambassador Krieth visited him. Her patterns glowed gentle purple, the color of understanding. "You are struggling," she said. It wasn't a question, Marcus nodded. "I don't regret my choice. Ziara is wonderful, and the Queen has been very kind. But I feel lost, like I'm between 2 worlds and don't fully belong to either. But I will tell you something that may help. That is why you were chosen. That is why you will succeed in this role. What if something happens to Ziara? Because I don't understand Jathiri ways well enough. But you will always try your best, and that is what matters." His enhanced body made him faster and stronger, but he still had much to learn about fighting in the Jathiri style. Ziara sat on the sidelines, watching and cheering when he did something well. During a break, she approached him shyly. Her patterns flickered uncertain orange and blue. "Softwing, can I show you something important?" "I want to share a memory." Prince Tharkon, Ziara's father, was fighting with the ship's controls, his patterns blazing urgent red. "Papa, I'm scared," young Ziara cried. "It's okay, my starlight," Tharkon said, his voice calm despite the danger. "Papa will keep you safe. Always. You must live and grow, and become the queen our people need." He used his last strength to seal Ziara in the safest part of the ship. "Someone will come," he whispered. "Someone kind will find you, someone like the humans. They see with their hearts, not just their eyes. Wait for them, my starlight. Wait for someone who cares." Softwing came. Softwing saved me like Papa wanted. This wasn't about becoming Jathiri or staying human. It wasn't about giving up his old life or accepting a new one. It was about something simpler and more profound. It was about being there for a child who needed him, about honoring a dying father's last wish, about building bridges between two species, one day at a time, one moment of kindness at a time. His daughter on Earth was being cared for by her mother. She was safe and loved, but Ziara needed him here now, and he had made a promise. "Thank you for showing me that," Marcus said. "It helps me understand. And I'm honored to be your guardian." He felt purpose. He felt belonging. He was exactly where he needed to be. 3 months had passed since Marcus accepted the gratitude. He had grown comfortable in his role as Ziara's guardian. His Jathiri language skills improved daily. His enhanced body felt natural now, as if he had always been this strong and fast. The neural connection to the hive mind no longer overwhelmed him. Instead, it helped him understand the aliens around him. Ziara was thriving. She laughed more often, studied harder, and talked constantly about everything she was learning. Marcus taught her about Earth animals, human history, and the concept of friendship across species. She taught him about Jathiri art, philosophy, and the responsibilities of future leadership. They were becoming a real family, but not everyone was happy about it. Marcus first noticed the problem during a royal ceremony. The Jathiri were celebrating the Festival of Stars, an ancient tradition honoring their ancestors. The Great Hall of the flagship was filled with nobles, military leaders, and important officials. Everyone wore ceremonial robes decorated with glowing patterns. Marcus stood beside Ziara, dressed in his own formal attire, a blend of human military style and Jathiri design. Queen Exhathari had commissioned it specially for him, showing his unique position as both human and honorary Jathiri. As they moved through the crowd, Marcus felt something through the neural link. Anger, cold, sharp anger directed at him and Ziara. He scanned the room carefully. Years of military training had taught him to notice details. Most Jathiri showed patterns of respect and celebration, golden yellows and warm blues. But a group near the back displayed dark red and harsh purple, the colors of disapproval and contempt. One of them, a large male with elaborate armor, stared directly at Marcus. His patterns pulsed with barely contained rage. "Ziara," Marcus said quietly, "do you know that noble over there, the one with the silver markings? Very traditional. A bitter noble with a grudge. It was something to watch." The ceremony continued. Queen Exhathari gave a speech about unity and the future. She spoke about how the Jathiri were evolving, learning from other species, building bridges to new allies. She specifically mentioned Marcus as an example of honor and courage that transcended species. The crowd responded with approval, except for Lord Vexther's group. Their patterns stayed dark and hostile. After the ceremony, Ambassador Krieth approached Marcus privately. "You noticed Lord Vexther's group," she said. It wasn't a question. "Hard to miss," Marcus replied. "They weren't trying to hide their feelings. They believe Jathiri culture should remain pure, untouched by outside influence. They see your presence as contamination. They think Ziara is unfit to rule because she has grown too close to a human. But the Queen's word is law. They cannot move against you openly." She paused. "However, you should remain vigilant. Purists value tradition above all else, including loyalty to the crown." Over the next few weeks, he paid closer attention to his surroundings. He noticed purist members watching him and Ziara during their daily routines. He felt their hostility through the neural link whenever they were near. Something was building. He could sense it. Then came the day of the Ascension ceremony. Ziara was turning 7, an important age in Jathiri culture. She would formally be presented to the entire collective as the confirmed heir. Leaders from every Jathiri colony would attend via hologram. It was one of the most significant events in decades. The ceremony took place in the royal chamber, a massive room with crystalline walls that amplified light and sound. Thousands of Jathiri filled the space, with millions more watching from across the empire. Ziara wore formal air robes that glowed with intricate patterns. She looked small and nervous despite her regal appearance. Marcus stood behind her, his hand resting protectively on her shoulder. Queen Exhathari began the ancient ritual speaking words passed down through countless generations. Ziara repeated the phrases, her voice growing stronger with each line. The crowd's patterns pulsed in rhythm, creating waves of light that washed over the chamber. Marcus felt the emotions through the neural link, pride, hope, joy. The collective was witnessing the rebirth of their royal line after 70 years of waiting. But then Marcus felt something else, something wrong, a spike of dark emotion, triumph mixed with hatred. It came from the crowd near one of the support pillars. Marcus's enhanced vision caught movement, a small device barely visible attached to the pillar's base. Red lights blinked in a pattern he recognized from his military training. An explosive, time seemed to slow down. Marcus's mind raced through calculations. The device was small but powerful enough to bring down the pillar. The pillar supported a massive crystalline structure directly above the royal platform. If it fell, it would crush everyone beneath it, including Ziara and the queen. He had maybe 5 seconds. Marcus didn't think. He acted on pure instinct and training. He grabbed Ziara and dove away from the platform, tucking her body against his chest. He rolled, using his enhanced strength to cover the distance impossibly fast. The explosive detonated. The sound was deafening. The pillar cracked and buckled. The crystal structure above screamed as it began to fall. Chunks of material rained down like deadly hail. Marcus shielded Ziara with his body, feeling pieces strike his back and shoulders. His enhanced physiology absorbed impacts that would have killed a normal human. Pain flared, but he didn't let go. The queen's personal guards reacted instantly, forming a protective shell around her with their armored bodies. Other guards pulled nobles to safety. Chaos erupted as everyone scrambled for cover. When the dust settled, Marcus looked up. The royal platform was destroyed, buried under tons of crystal debris. If Ziara had still been standing there, she would be dead. "Softwing," Ziara cried, her patterns flashing terrified white. "Softwing hurt. You saved me again." They found the bomber quickly, a young Jathiri wearing the colors of Lord Vexther's household. But before they could question him, he activated a neural suicide device, destroying his own mind rather than face interrogation. Lord Vexther himself stood in the crowd, his patterns carefully neutral, too controlled. Marcus's eyes met his across the chamber. In that moment, through the neural link, Marcus felt a flash of the Lord's true emotions before he locked them down. Rage. Disappointment that the plan failed, and underneath it all, guilt. "Your Majesty," Marcus said quietly, "we need to talk privately right now." "The purists are behind this," Marcus said. "But it's bigger than just today's attack. Your Majesty, do you remember Prince Tharkun's last words to Ziara? What does this have to do?" The queen's patterns went completely black, the color of absolute rage. "Find them," she said, her voice like ice. "Find everyone involved. I want names, I want proof, and I want justice. We think differently than Jathiri. We look for patterns you might miss. Show them what happens when they threaten the royal line. I'll need access to security records, ship logs, and permission to question nobles." And somewhere in this massive ship, conspirators were planning their next move. Marcus spent the next 2 days buried in data. Security footage, communication logs, ship manifests, crew records, everything from the past year scrolled across multiple screens in his quarters. His enhanced vision and processing speed helped him work faster than any normal human could. But speed wasn't enough. He needed a different approach. Ziara sat in the corner, supposedly doing her studies, but mostly watching him with worried eyes. Her patterns stayed muted blue-gray. "Softwing hasn't slept," she said quietly. "You need rest. Maybe the conspiracy is over." They're looking for logical patterns, official communications, direct evidence. The emotional mistakes, the small details that don't make sense. Who didn't? Most people jumped or ducked immediately, natural fear response, but look at this group here. They positioned themselves near the exit before the explosion. They were ready. He cross-referenced their movements with communication patterns, not looking for direct messages but for timing. Humans are social creatures, he explained to Ziara as he worked. We coordinate without obvious signals. We use timing instead. If 3 people all visit the same location within an hour but don't meet, they might be avoiding detection while still passing information. Ziara watched fascinated as Marcus identified a network of 17 nobles, all connected to the purists, all showing suspicious patterns. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Marcus requested files on Lord Vexther's family history. The security chief had dismissed this as irrelevant. Nobles kept detailed records that were all public. But Marcus noticed something the Jathiri had missed. Lord Vexther's daughter had been evaluated as a potential heir candidate 15 years ago. She had been rejected due to minor genetic markers that suggested future health problems. Lord Vexther had appealed the decision 3 times. All 3 appeals were denied by Prince Tharkan himself, who led the Genetic Evaluation Council. Revenge, Marcus said quietly. That's the real motive, not just tradition or purity. Personal revenge against the royal line that rejected his daughter. 17 nobles connected to the conspiracy, Marcus said, displaying the evidence. All with links to Lord Vexther, all positioned to benefit if Ziara was removed from succession. And Lord Vexther himself has personal motivation dating back 15 years. Under our law, we need clear evidence before arresting a high noble. The Queen would announce new security measures, claiming the investigation had gone cold. This would make Vexther feel safe. Meanwhile, Marcus would publicly challenge the validity of the gratitude, saying he wasn't worthy of such honor. This would make Vexther think Marcus was weak, vulnerable. If he believes you're losing confidence, he'll become bold, one of the human officers agreed. Arrogant people make mistakes when they think they're winning. 3 days later, during a public gathering, Lord Vexther stood before the assembled court and made his move. I challenge the legitimacy of the human's position, he announced, his patterns blazing confident red. This creature has no place among royalty. He corrupts our princess with alien weakness. He disrespects our traditions. By ancient law, any noble may challenge another's position through ritual combat. If the human is truly worthy of the gratitude, let him prove it in the traditional way. Vexther was a trained warrior, twice Marcus's size with decades of combat experience, but Marcus smiled. This was exactly what they needed. I accept, he said calmly. The combat arena was prepared within hours. A circular platform surrounded by shields to protect spectators. No weapons, just hand-to-hand combat in the traditional Jathiri style. First to yield or fall unconscious would lose. Ziara grabbed Marcus's arm before he entered. Don't do this. He's too strong. He wants to hurt you. But sometimes we have to face bullies directly. Trust me, okay? He was fast and powerful, his chitinous armor making him nearly invulnerable to normal attacks. Marcus dodged and weaved, not trying to match strength with strength. His enhanced body made him faster than a normal human, but he was still smaller and had fewer limbs than his opponent. Run, little softwing, Vexther taunted. Show everyone how weak your species is. Jathiri combat was beautiful, precise, coordinated, following established forms that had been perfected over centuries. Every movement flowed into the next with mathematical precision, and that was the weakness. Marcus suddenly changed tactics. Instead of dodging predictably, he stumbled on purpose. Vexther lunged forward for what should have been a winning strike, but Marcus had already rolled aside in a direction that made no tactical sense. Vexther's momentum carried him off balance for a fraction of a second. Marcus struck at a joint between armor plates, a spot he'd identified earlier. Not hard enough to seriously injure, but enough to cause pain. Vexther roared and spun around, but Marcus had already moved again, this time jumping when logic said he should duck. What? What are you doing? Vexther demanded, frustrated. You're fighting without form, without discipline. He bluffed attacks he didn't make. He left openings that were actually traps. He used emotional tactics, taunting when Vexthor expected silence, going still when Vexthor expected movement. Most importantly, Marcus read his opponent's emotions through the neural link. He felt Vexthor's confidence turning to confusion, then to frustration, then to anger. Angry fighters make mistakes. Vexthor charged with all four arms extended, a powerful finishing move. Marcus waited until the last second, then dropped flat on his back and kicked upward with both legs at the precise point where Vexthor's armor plates met. The Lord crashed to the ground, the wind knocked out of him. Marcus moved quickly, positioning himself over his opponent. He didn't strike, he didn't need to. In Jathiri combat, this position meant defeat. "Yield," Marcus said quietly. Vexthor's patterns blazed with humiliation and rage. "Never, I would rather die than yield to a human. Because unlike you, I value life, even the life of someone who tried to murder a child." He sabotaged the royal transport that killed Prince Tharkon. He planted the bomb at the Ascension ceremony, and he hoped challenging me would distract from his crimes. "During this fight, while you were focused on me, human and Jathiri security arrested your co-conspirators," Marcus said. "They're talking, telling everything. Your plan has failed." Through the neural link, Marcus felt the truth, defeat, despair, and underneath it all, confirmation. Guilt, the Lord slumped. "My daughter should have been heir, she was perfect, but they rejected her, rejected our family, everything I built. For nothing." Marcus stood up and walked to where Ziara waited at the arena's edge. She threw her arms around him, patterns blazing relieved yellow. "You won, Softwing won. Everyone working together. Not with more strength, with intelligence, with unpredictability, with heart. That is why humans will be our greatest allies." The blue and green planet looked peaceful from orbit, beautiful in a way that made his chest ache with old memories. He had not set foot on his homeworld in all this time, though he could have. The enhancements had fully stabilized 3 years ago, but he had stayed. There was too much work to do. Behind him, footsteps clicked on the metal floor. He recognized the pattern without turning around. "You're thinking about home again," Ziara said. She was 11 now, almost as tall as Marcus. Her carapace had hardened and darkened to a deep purple blue, showing her maturity. But her patterns still glowed soft when she looked at him, affection and trust that had never faded. "Sometimes," Marcus admitted. "Is that wrong?" "It means you have a good heart." She stood beside him, looking down at Earth. "Mother says hearts that remember home are hearts that understand loyalty. She says it's important." He had helped solve disputes, trained new security protocols, and acted as a cultural bridge between humans and Jathiri. Most importantly, he had kept Ziara safe while helping her grow into a confident, compassionate young leader. Queen Exhathari waited in her private chambers. Ambassador Krieth stood beside her, along with several human diplomats Marcus recognized from Earth's colonial council. "Marcus," the queen said warmly, "thank you for coming. Please sit. You exposed a conspiracy that threatened the throne. You have served with honor and wisdom beyond your years. You proved that the greatest barriers between species are not biological, they are fear and misunderstanding. You built a bridge, Marcus. Now I wish to expand that bridge. We are creating the Guardian program. They will receive modified enhancements, not as extensive as yours, but enough to extend their lifespan and allow basic neural connection. In return, Jathiri volunteers will be stationed in human colonies, learning our ways and teaching us theirs. A permanent exchange program. Train both human and Jathiri participants. Teach them what you've learned. You'll be the first ambassador of this new era. I've been bursting to tell you," her patterns flashed excited yellow. "Say yes, please say yes." But when he looked at Ziara, the scared little girl who had become a confident young woman, he knew the answer. "I accept," he said, "with honor." When it finally ended, Marcus walked with Ziara through the royal gardens, a beautiful space filled with plants from both Earth and the Jathiri homeworld. "Softwing," Ziara said quietly. "Yes. Giving up your old life. I miss simple things like hamburgers and baseball. I miss speaking only one language and having 2 arms be normal. Because I gained something more precious than anything I lost. I gained you. I gained purpose. I gained a family that spans the stars. You're the little sister I never had, and watching you grow into the amazing person you're becoming, that's the real reward, not the enhancements, not the status. You." Through the neural link, Marcus felt her emotions: love, gratitude, joy, and something else. Pride. She was proud to have him as her guardian. 10 more years passed. Marcus stood in the graduation ceremony for the first class of Guardian program participants. 20 humans and 20 Jathiri stood together, having completed 5 years of intensive training. They wore uniforms that blended both species' styles, symbols of the unity they represented. Marcus, now appearing to be in his early 40s despite being 53 years old, gave the commencement speech. "When I first arrived on this ship 15 years ago, I was scared and confused," he told them. "I had agreed to something I didn't fully understand. I was the first, the only one. I had no map, no guide, no one who had walked this path before. But more importantly, you have a mission: to continue building the bridge between our peoples." "Sarah, why you stayed away for so long?" "About how you became a bridge between worlds. I was angry at first, but then I realized you were being a hero, just like you always taught me to be." The two young women sized each other up carefully, then Ziara smiled. "So you're Soft Wing's real daughter," she said. "And you're the princess he talks about constantly," Sarah replied. They both laughed, and Marcus felt his heart swell with happiness. His two families, his biological daughter and his adopted alien sister, meeting for the first time. 5 more years passed. Marcus stood beside Queen Exhathari on a platform overlooking thousands of humans and Jathiri gathered together. They were on a newly established colony world, one that both species would share, the first of many planned joint settlements. "This would not have been possible without you," the Queen said quietly. Her patterns showed deep gratitude. "One human soldier doing a simple act of kindness has changed the fate of 2 species. We built this together." "Softwing," she said, using the name she still preferred despite knowing dozens of others. "I have something for you. If anyone finds this," the hologram said, "please know, my last wish was for my daughter to learn that strength comes in many forms, that kindness is not weakness, that the future belongs to those who build bridges, not walls. To whoever saved my Ziara, thank you. You gave us hope. You gave us tomorrow. And for that, you have earned the gratitude not just of a queen, but of an entire civilization." "He would be proud of us both," she corrected. That night, Marcus returned to his quarters, now a permanent residence on the shared colony. Sarah lived nearby with her Jathiri partner, a scientist named Kevra. They were expecting their first child, the first human Jathiri family, though not biologically mixed. Marcus stood on his balcony, looking up at the stars. 2 decades had passed since he found a crashed ship in the desert. 20 years since he chose to save a frightened child instead of following orders. That choice had given him a second daughter in Ziara. It was belonging. It was knowing that one simple act of compassion had created ripples that would echo through history. Marcus heard footsteps behind him. Ziara joined him on the balcony, holding 2 cups of earth tea, one of many human customs she had adopted. "Tomorrow we meet with the new Guardian recruits," she said. "And next month the joint cultural festival," Marcus added. "And next year the first mixed colony council elections." Ziara smiled. "We've come far, haven't we, Softwing? But the journey isn't over. We're still building that bridge. One day, one person, one moment of kindness at a time." And Marcus knew, truly knew, that he had made the right choice all those years ago. Because in the end, the greatest reward wasn't what he received.